Entering the Mayo experience.
That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dog or Pass podcast. This is for UFC Fight Night Moncton, Oezdemir versus Smith. Before we get to any of that type of stuff, it's been 3 weeks since we've been gone. There's been a couple winners credited with money to their accounts. It should have been in there quite a long time ago. So you just had more money in your account. Maybe you didn't know what had happened. You had won. First was Thomas P79. And second one was Kaysen, K-A-Y-S-E-N, 5,400. Congratulations, $20 in your account for last week's contest. This week's contest, we're gonna go a little negative maybe on all of this. What city on earth? Or sorry, first things you gotta do, you gotta give the show a like. Before you do that, if you don't do that, you're not in the contest. So give the show a like. Secondly, write what city on earth. Any city on earth, try to make it funny, that the UFC should have went rather than the thriving metropolis of Moncton. And third, add your DK handle. You will be in a draw to win bucks like Thomas P. and Kaysen. Because we're in Moncton, I brought in local coal miner Cody Saftic with a incredibly thick and luscious beard. It's been 3 weeks, and I don't think you've shaved since then.
Had to go work on the mines up in Fort McMurray there, bye. I totally meant to at least trim the beard today, this morning. But I came out of the shower and it was wet, and you can't actually go like a wet beard to an electric razor. It creates a massive issue. So I was like, I'll just give it some time to dry, and next thing you know, I'm late for work, and then I'm gone, and then you never get to it. So yeah, luscious, thank you. And hopefully there are not flakes of makeup, because we are required to put on makeup for this show.
Well, yeah. And I put on your makeup.
It looks real crusty when there's flakes. So
maybe a flake here or there. I am not a beautician. That is for damn sure.
I would disagree with that point.
Well, agree to disagree. Let's get into the action. I hate being negative, but it is what it is. This card is real bad. Especially like when you're sandwiching it between UFC 229 and UFC 230. It's just like you look at this and it's just like, hey, like, woo. Like there's a lot of fighters on here that's just like, I'm not used to paying that price on these kind of guys. They're pretty untrustworthy across the board, but
well, hey. I thought your question at the top of the show was going to be, is this the worst UFC main event so far this year? Because not anything against Anthony Smith. He always brings an entertaining fight. Nothing against Volkan Oezdemir. Yeah, I mean, we've only seen really limited amounts of him. But yeah, is he capable of being an entertaining fighter? Yes. Could this be a very entertaining fight? Absolutely. However, maybe a little bit soft on the matchmaking. I want to say something, though. You know, you talk about Conor McGregor and Khabib. Maybe that's your turkey. A little bit of stuffing on the side, little mashed potatoes. When you look at UFC 230, maybe this is your apple pie at the end of it. Maybe this is your, strawberry rhubarb. Who knows? But this middle card could potentially be the cranberry sauce. So
the whole card is the cranberry. I usually say there's like a cranberry sauce fight. Like, the main event, people care about that. I like that guy, kid T. Edwards. We'll talk about him later on. Like, he looked really good on Dana's White Contender Series. LOBOV is here, so like you got to watch that.
The biggest thing,
there is a lot of trash mixed in between here.
Yeah, and we're gonna start talking about it right now. The biggest thing that I'm looking at this card and liking is there is a lot of value. There's a lot of underdogs that are being overlooked, and because maybe it's not the regular household names. I'm thinking on some of these lines they got it wrong, plain and simple. So let's find some value on DraftKings. Let's find some value on the straight betting line and make some money.
Before we get straight to it, I'm just gonna say odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds. If you or somebody that you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we got Volkan Oezdemir taking on Anthony Lionheart Smith. Volkan Oezdemir is 8,400 DraftKings minus 165 favorites. Anthony Smith is 7,800 and plus 145. These guys to not go to decision is like minus 925. 5-round fight. Anthony Smith, I know he has a lot of third-round wins, but, like, I don't know if he can really make it much further than that third round. Like, he's usually getting pretty dog-tired, even when he gets those finishes at the end of round 3. Volkan's kind of got, like, a death touch Obviously, if you can take him down, you can neutralize him. You can do what Daniel Cormier did, the champion,
Sure.
the
Very
champ,
few people
what
can
the
do
champ
that.
did to him. Then you can really kind of exploit him there. But Volkan Oezdemir and these guys, like, this fight is getting finished. So if we're talking DraftKings, if you're making tons of lineups, you want access to both of these guys. Gun to my head, I'm going to go with Oezdemir. I think Anthony Smith is just too hittable. These are both kind of guys, frankly, that I have always been historically very low on. And, frankly, they've cost me a lot of money. Now they're fighting against each other. I don't love Volkan Oezdemir. I'm not going to be betting it at -165. I do think it's pretty close to a pick'em. It's going to be violent. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be a fun fight to watch. And you want access to this. Like, you want 100% exposure to this on DraftKings. But I don't have a hot take. I'm not standing there. I'm not dying on that hill, the Volkan Oezdemir hill, saying that he's going to win this fight, but he is my pick.
Yeah, you know what? I was actually initially supporting him a little bit. I find as that the actual date's drawing closer, my support for him is kind of weaning a little bit. I think initially when you look at this, yeah, it's got to be Volkan Oezdemir. He's the actual 205 here. Anthony Smith fills out the frame pretty good because, let's face it, he is a pretty big, big, tall, physical guy. But at the end of the day, I almost feel like his run at 185 pounds didn't go exactly as planned. He takes a couple fights at 205 pounds, has overwhelming amount of success, and because of that success, he's parlayed that into, a big shot opportunity, a chance to go out there and headline a card, a chance to potentially, if he wins the Volkan Oezdemir fight, he can start to try to get his name in title conversations. But that whole idea is crazy to me. Like, how did Anthony Smith become a title contender at 205 pounds? The other thing is, Anthony Smith is really good at putting it on guys. He's a violent finisher. He's the kind of guy that goes out there, he senses blood, even if the fight hasn't even started yet. He senses blood, he goes on you. The thing is that at this stage in Rashad Evans' career, he can't take the punishment anymore. So he folds down, almost predictably so. At this stage in Shogun and Hua's career, he can't take the punishment anymore. So he folds down, he goes down. It is what it is. Volkan Oezdemir is not some shot former legend. Yeah, he's never been a world champion. Yeah, he's never been as highly ranked as a guy like Rashad Evans or Shogun Hua. But he is a fighter that's currently in his prime, and that's something neither of those guys can claim. They are over-the-hill shot fighters that Anthony Smith was brought in and looked fantastic against. So when you look at Volkan Oezdemir, you think, okay, if he can take Anthony Smith's shots, you're right. Anthony Smith is extremely hittable. He puts it on you. And in the process of him putting it on you, he is a very hittable guy. Thiago Santos, you take that early punishment, you land something significant on him. He even admits to himself in the post-fight after the fight, I got hit with the wheel kick and everything kind of went out the window. He got hurt and everything went out the window. He didn't really recover. He didn't really draw back to stick to a game plan. Oh, I got stung. It is what it is. Ends up getting finished in that fight. Loses that fight, moves up to 205 pounds. But when you talked about Anthony Smith probably not being able to sustain that pace for 2 or 3 rounds, what gives us any indication whatsoever that Volkan Oezdemir can sustain any type of pace? He goes first fight against OSP.
I did say I was not willing to die on this hill, Cody.
No, I agree with you. It's just, I was never willing to die on the Volkan Oezdemir hill. But when the fight's announced, you're got to take the natural 205 pounder, who's probably the rightfully so higher ranked fighter. And if he takes Anthony Smith's best punches early, you also got to factor in that this being a Henry Hoof style fighter, he's dealt with strikers of all types of variety. He's dealt with all types of high-level guys. He has gotten ready for a striker's delight. Maybe taking him down the way Daniel Cormier did to him is the way to beat him. But I'm not sure that Anthony Smith, he has a wicked ground game, but I don't know that he's got the wrestling offense to get Volkan Oezdemir down. And even if he does get him to the ground, he's more of a get a sound position and then rain down elbows on this guy, which is Volkan survives and it's round 2. Again, Volkan Oezdemir, they call him what? No time. He touches you. He tends to put guys down. And with Anthony Smith, we've seen him get put down before. So I'm not super high on this fight. I do agree with you. When you're looking at the $7,800 on Anthony Smith, he's a GPP dream. He always goes for it. He's always going to bring that. And, he's only a plus 145 underdog. He's not that crazy of an underdog. He's got some merit here. Volkan Oezdemir, meanwhile, $8,400. Yeah, he's got 5 rounds to deal with. Anthony Smith, he's a live by the sword, die by the sword. And if you think Volkan's going to win, then you also do probably believe that Anthony Smith goes to the kill, fades out, Volkan finds him, and puts him away. So I'm going to lean Volkan Oezdemir, but this is not a fight that I'm super high on.
No, I think we kind of both are on the same page. We're kind of just taking the more technical striker there. Let's move on down the card. We have Michael Johnson taking on Artem the GOAT Lobov. Michael Johnson, 9,500 on DraftKings, -600 favorite. Artem Lobov, 6,700 plus 450. Obviously, this was supposed to be Zubairat Tuhugov taking on Lobov. I feel as though the last 3 weeks, all of Twitter, all of everything has just been filled with who was right, who was wrong, blah, 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 blah. let's just call a spade a spade. That fight isn't happening. Zubair probably won't fight in the UFC again. It is what it is. But Michael Johnson steps in, relatively short notice. He's committed to fighting at 145 pounds here. Where have we seen them? Now this, I'm gonna really like. This could look. I could look real dumb coming from this. And don't get me wrong. Like I don't love LOBOV here. I don't feel great about. I just think the line is a little bit too wide here. And on DraftKings 9,500 Michael Johnson, like we've seen LOBOV take punishment from like Cub Swanson for 5 rounds, and Cub scored a ton there because he landed a record number of strikes in that fight, but it was 5 rounds. 9,500 against LOBOV with somebody with the durability that he has. Like, you're really painting yourself in a corner by rostering Michael Johnson. Artem Lobov, where has he had success before? Southpaws. Southpaws who throw straight left right down the pipe. Why? Because he's Connor's punching bag. Hangs out in the gym
he's hung
with
out
Connor.
with that style.
And that's what he does probably every single camp. He goes in there, mimics whoever Connor's opponent is, and he's facing a crisp, slick, striking southpaw. I know Michael Johnson has the wrestling credentials, the junior college, whatever. But like, frankly, and he would be smart if he could come out here and he goes, "So I just take LOBOV down multiple times, wear him down, wear him down, wear him down." Like that is the path to victory, but he hasn't done it. He just doesn't do it in any of his fights. He doesn't try to go for takedowns. So how can we sit here and predict that he's going to do something that he never does in any of his fights? I think LOBOV, if you have to play somebody here, LOBOV is the preferred play. Just the line is plus 450. He's going to be durable. He's going to hang in there. He's going to be tough. Can he maybe spark Johnson a little bit late when LOBOV is still kind of walking forward like a zombie, and maybe Michael Johnson is a little bit tired from, it's basically like the Homer Simpson striking defense for LOBOV there. It's just like his opponent just gets tired from landing so many strikes on him. And short notice at 145, where he's just relatively new in this division, it's LOBOV or bust. In my opinion here. What's your take?
I think you're right when you look at the value. LOBOV at $6,700 on DraftKings. Yeah, dude, you just roster this guy one time. You can pretty much afford the rest of the pieces that you want. As far as the straight money line goes, plus 450, yeah, they're overlooking this guy. Johnson is coming in on short notice. I mean, this Tuhugov fight basically got pulled relatively late, and now you got Johnson coming in. Johnson at 145 does not impress me. This guy actually looked pretty good at 55. He had the energy. He never really had he's got nasty punching power, but it was more so just volume punching. He just kept on guys and broke them apart. His fight with Edson Barbosa is a near masterpiece. Him knocking out Dustin Poirier, yeah, it is what it is. It showcases that big power he's got. But since he's come down to 145, man, he has looked not so good. Darren Elkins exploits obviously that weak ground game. Andre Fili. I think going into the Fili fight, we all thought that he had the striking advantage over Andre Fili, and Andre Fili would probably try to grapple with him. But dude, you just mentioned it. Junior college, wrestler. This guy knows how to wrestle. He can't stuff the takedown. At some point or another, he ends up on the ground. And now, for the first time in a very long time, he's got an opponent that does not plan on shooting any takedowns. And that should allow Michael Johnson to be Michael Johnson again. And that being said, I do believe he's half shot. I think this guy's got wars in the gym that you would not believe. I remember when Nicky Holtzkin had his little USA tour and he was just going to gyms and sparring guys. Michael Johnson stepped up to him and got KO'd. But he stepped up to him. He gave him a go at the old Black Zillions gym, the Jacko Hybrid Training Center. This guy's ballsy, but now in fights, he's just not quite as athletic as he used to be. At 145, you'd think he has more punching power, but he's not really landing those big shots, and he's always got to worry about the wrestling, and as such, he's not really letting his hands go. I think this is a tailor-made fight for him taking on Artem Lobov. The thing with Lobov is he's always in your face, he's got decent head movement, like you said, southpaw shooting that straight left at him. He's great at moving his head off that pivot line. He's great at moving forward, but he doesn't throw fuck all, dude. He stands in front of you, he kind of waves you on, he's got that Flobov style, but he's not throwing enough, and when he is throwing, he's trying to counter, and he's throwing one at a time. Whereas Michael Johnson's going to go out there and simply just off his jab, he'll be able to work Artem Lobov. His footwork, even though it kind of seems herky-jerky, it's on point. He's way faster than Artem Lobov. So what I see this fight happening is Lobov moves forward the way Lobov does. Michael Johnson matadors him and just pieces him up for 3 rounds. I think it goes 3 rounds. I think it's a 30-27 Michael Johnson. But for $9,500, I'm not exactly willing to get 100 significant strikes out of Michael Johnson, which would be great. plus the decision victory, maybe no takedowns, no ground transitions, doesn't knock down LOBOV. Well, at that point, 9,500 is very expensive for my taste. So it might be a personal pass, but I think this is a tailor-made fight for Michael Johnson. If you're the UFC, you love Conor, sure, but LOBOV's kind of in the doghouse, right? LOBOV, he gets caught throwing the dolly. Okay, we're going to scratch him off the card. All right, we bring him back in. Okay, him and Duhugov. Oh, there's a lot of jawing. They didn't give this guy Kyle Nelson, local 145-pounder from Canada. They didn't give him some low-end 145-pounder on the roster that they could have brought in. They didn't even, we're going to talk about this later on in the card, they didn't bring in a guy, the SOUKHAMTHATH opponent, bring him in on short notice and move him up a weight class. It wasn't anything like that. They gave him Michael fucking Johnson, who is as not the same fighter as he may or may not be. He's still Michael Johnson. He's still faster than this guy. He packs more punch.
Guy's got a win over Edson Barbosa where he
Dustin Poirier
struck Edson Barbosa over the course of 3 rounds.
You know, that was a clinic. If we get half of that guy back, he wins this fight. If we get that guy back, he paints a masterpiece. If we get a shot version of him, it could be a little bit closer, and I don't love the value, but I cannot go against Michael Johnson here. It just seems like it's tailor-made for him to hopefully, maybe not showcase, but have a good, strong performance.
We got Misha Cirkunov taking on Pat Cummins. Misha Cirkunov is 9,300 on DraftKings, minus 450 favorite. Pat Cummins is 6,900 plus 360. What's your take here?
You know, I talked about earlier at the top of the show that there's a lot of live dogs on this card, and some of them aren't the sexiest ones, and Pat Cummins is one of those ones that just...
Like, look at that mustache.
You know
That's
what?
why you have to watch the video. Like, that mustache is a piece of work.
You know, he actually looks normal there. The problem is, after the first round, he is half of that, and after the second round, if he's still alive, both eyes are shut, his nose is broken, that mustache always goes red because it's just absolutely covered in blood. There is nobody that takes more damage than Patrick Cummins, and that is a serious, serious issue. But almost similar in the same breath that we're talking about Michael Johnson versus LOBOV is like, this is the type of opponent that Michael Johnson wants. This is the type of opponent that Michael Johnson needs. Every time that Cummins goes into a fight, he is getting boxed up, man. He is getting beat up. We all know his wrestling pedigree. Walk-on at Penn State, former, high-credential NCAA Division I guy. The guy can wrestle. The problem is that in order for him to get you down, he's standing in front of you for a little bit. You hit him a couple times, his face wears it. He gets you down, you happen to get back up, you hit him a couple more times, his face wears it. And he doesn't have a fantastic chin. The thing with Misha Cirkunov, he's not a fantastic striker. He's got enough power, being that he's a pretty heavy-built guy. Yeah. And another southpaw. Been working on his striking a lot. If he nails Cummins with that straight left, yeah, I could see it doing some damage. Sure. But Misha is the best when he's operating on top. He needs to, A, get the fight to the ground, B, hopefully get the fight on the ground with him in a top position. Against the Glover-Teixeira fight, you and I both talked about going in. Glover can wrestle. And if Misha fails to get the takedowns against Glover, he'll get boxed up standing. Yep. Not only does he get boxed up standing, but when he hits the ground and it's Glover on top of him,
it's basically all over.
I'm not going to say the guy quit. He's a UFC fighter. He is a high-level athlete. He's a Canadian representing. But there's some guys
he doesn't deal with adversity well. And we can say that. That's a nice way of saying what you're saying. Traditionally,
throughout his career, he has not overly dealt with that adversity. You just look at his early losses. Tex Johnson. Misha's a black belt. Misha is a stud on the ground. Tex Johnson's actually also a stud on the ground, don't get me wrong. But Tex Johnson armbars him. It's like nobody in Canada saw that coming. Oh, what a fluke. He takes on Roy Bowden. He got armbarred again against Roy Bowden. Roy Bowden armbars the guy. He kind of just somewhat comes up short when that big moment would come from him. He comes to the UFC, and there's no doubt about it. He had an early road early in the UFC. When you're drawing the Alex Nicholsons of the world, you can go and break this guy and have a showcase fight. But Volkan Oezdemir flatlining him gives you a real idea of, I'm not going to say his chin's questionable, but he's not a striker. So when he takes on a striker, he's going to walk into those big shots. Okay, fair enough. Well, what else does he have? He's got a judo background, but his wrestling's not on point. He kind of hurt Krylov with a punch, got the fight to the ground, and was able to out-grapple Krylov, no doubt. But Krylov's another one of these one-round guys, where when he inevitably ends up on his back, he's also kind of half-packing it in. So with Cummins, my issue is that Misha's a big favorite here. First of all, he's $9,300 on DraftKings, so you need him to probably take him down.
You need him to take him down, and then you need him to get one. Like, he's got game-changing submissions when he does get on top. And we did see Pat Cummins obviously losing in the wrestling department against Corey Anderson last time.
Wow, that's Corey Anderson.
But of course, exactly. I don't think Misha has the same setups. I think this probably takes place on the feet, which is dangerous for Pat Cummins. But I understand where you're coming from here.
It's dangerous for Pat Cummins because we know how much damage he's going to take. But just look at, let's say, his last 3 fights. In his last fight, I think we knew Corey Anderson was going to work him just because he...
I didn't.
Oh yeah, you had Cummins. Well, I had Anderson. Anderson's a better wrestler than Pat Cummins. Maybe not on paper, but as far as MMA practicality goes, he's better.
I learned that then.
Yeah, and where he doesn't have power, like he's not going to go out there and one punch Pat Cummins. He's able to just put 3 or 4 or 5 punches on Pat Cummins at a time, break Pat Cummins down. But you look 3 fights ago, Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz is a much better striker than Pat Cummins is. Pat Cummins can't probably hang with him for a prolonged period of time, but he hasn't got that stopping power. It's get the guy down, wrestle him, tire him, keep him off his back. Misha's great at jiu-jitsu. However, Misha's not going to throw up an armbar and catch Pat Cummins. He's not going to throw up a triangle and catch Pat Cummins. And it's also going to be hard to sweep Pat Cummins because he's so fucking big and he's a wrestler. He's a lifelong wrestler. He's going to ride you. He's going to ride you and he's just going to ground and pound. Ride you and ground and pound. Just based on the takedowns, he could score some points. Based on the ground and pound, he'll score some points. He won't try to transition on Misha because A, he just knows he's not the better grappler in the situation. He wants to stay in half guard. He wants to stay in guard. But he'll be able to just hopefully break Misha down. As far as Misha's game plan goes, if I can't take Pat Cummins down and use my jiu-jitsu, I have to stand with him. I've been working on my stand-up. But here's my last real point on Misha CIRKUNOV. Misha CIRKUNOV used to have the best jiu-jitsu coach in Canada. Sam Zakula is the guy's coach. He gets a black belt from Sam Zakula. Sam Zakula gets fired from Extreme Couture Toronto. They offer Misha Sam's job, his best friend, the guy that gave him his black belt, that he's known since he's a child. He takes Sam's job. Now he's the head coach of Extreme Couture. He does not travel for camps. He does not leave Toronto for camps. His striking, although it's gotten a little bit better because of Rob Santos working and glory kickboxer Matt Embry, but Matt Embry's 145 pounds. So yeah, Misha's gone a little bit better in striking, but not really. Whereas you have got Pat Cummins, been in Southern California for a long time, working at guys like Rain Training Center, spent a little time at Belmore Kickboxing Academy, spent some time at King's MMA. He just works with the best guys all the time. So whereas I don't think he's necessarily a much better fighter than Misha CIRKUNOV, I don't know that Misha's got the tools to go out there and beat a guy like Pat Cummins, who's going to have a significant wrestling advantage. So it's going to be a striking battle. And you just look at Cummins, he's always getting hit so much, it's easy to go against him. But I don't know. And for this type of value, I'm willing to find out. Plus 360 on Cummins, $6,900 on Pat Cummins. I think that's a better play than LOBOV for an extra $200.
We have Andre SOUKHAMTHATH taking on Jonathan Martinez. SOUKHAMTHATH is 8,600 on DraftKings, minus 175 favorite. Martinez, 7,600 plus 155. Actually, last night, I made these, I always make the boards and then I'll update the odds probably about half an hour before we come on live here so that the odds at least are close to what they are around the market at the time. And Andre SOUKHAMTHATH was minus 220. It was the biggest line movement over the last, say, 24 hours has been on this fight. So maybe you can piece it out for me why people are so confident in, or some of this money is moving in on Martinez at this point. I kind of get it. We saw SOUKHAMTHATH had Sean O'Malley literally not able to walk and then allowed it to go to the ground, which was like fight IQ minus 1,000. But yeah. I'm still interested if you got like a hot take on this fight.
Yeah, I think you're very much going against Andre SOUKHAMTHATH as much as you would possibly go for Jonathan Martinez. SOUKHAMTHATH's got the advantageous position here that he was supposed to take on Gavin Tucker. So he's got the full camp. He was taking on a credible enough 135-pounder, probably going to be a good little fight. Jonathan Martinez comes in last minute. He's a natural 125-pounder. He was just getting ready to fight CJ Hamilton on an LFA card at 125 pounds. And now he's got to make the task of making a UFC debut on a week's notice, up a weight class, against a serviceable guy like Andre SOUKHAMTHATH. So the cards are most definitely stacked against him. I can see how the early line will be Andre SOUKHAMTHATH. But when you look at it more, what I'm saying is you're going against SOUKHAMTHATH as much as you're going for Jonathan Martinez. SOUKHAMTHATH just finds ways to lose, man. He looked good on the regional scene, but not extraordinarily good. He was just, like I said, serviceable. He got a decent left hook. He's got a decent straight right. He kind of waits a lot. He's a very flat-footed fighter. I don't think he's got extremely good footwork, but he waits on his opponent a lot. And I don't like that. I don't like guys that kind of get complacent in there and they believe in their head, well, I'm winning the fight, I'm outstriking my opponent, but they don't got that second gear. The other thing we saw from SOUKHAMTHATH, that's his regional scene career. When he makes it to the UFC, he kind of gasses late. Like, he can have a decent first round. He can have an okay second round. But there's very few and far between where it's like, it's 1-1 SOUKHAMTHATH, this is your fight to win, go out there and put the pressure on and get the win. We see glimpses of brilliance of him. He's obviously got good striking, he's got some decent power, but there's just a lot of holes in his game. He makes a lot of bonehead decisions. And that's capped off by the Sean O'Malley fight, where he gets 10-8 in the first round. He gets fucked up in the first round. The second round...
No, he was losing pretty cleanly most of the fight, right?
Killed! Getting absolutely killed. And there's another thing. Sean O'Malley is kind of a quirky, unorthodox striker. He's got some power, but it's hard to get a read on on him because of his movement and just the way he fights. When I look at Jonathan Martinez, I see some similarities. He's kind of quirky, unorthodox. He's hard to get a good read on. He's smaller than CUMMINS, but he's faster than CUMMINS. And the thing is if he just goes out there and just throws more punches than under CUMMINS, then there's a good possibility he just outpoints him. I think this is probably a very boring fight. I am not personally very high on CUMMINS fights. I know he got fight of the night his last time against O'Malley, but that was through no fault of his own. Zero fault of his own.
That was mostly due to the heart that O'Malley had with not being able to walk.
Yeah.
We thought his leg was going to fall off, and then it actually didn't turn into anything significant, I don't think.
Nah, everyone saw he had a broken leg and it was like some inflammation.
Yeah, either way.
But all the same, I think...
They're still tougher than me.
I would look at it as if you're just under CUMMINS and you're on top of O'Malley, you back up. But you know what? He's concussed. He doesn't really know what's going on. His corner, Shirley, was yelling, stand up. And he couldn't pick up on the voice.
All he had to do was stand up.
Right. He couldn't pick up on it. So
the ref would have no choice. He would have had to just wave it off.
Now, he likely had a concussion because O'Malley put it on him. But what that also tells you is that when this guy's in the heat of the battle and concussed, game plan's out the fucking window. Yeah. He can't even hear his corner at this point. It's quiet, fairly quiet. You're just on top of this guy in guard. You must be able to hear something, but he can't hear nothing. So I don't think he's going to go get concussed by Martinez. But like I said, Martinez could just simply outwork him a little bit. He's from a small gym in Lubbock, Texas. I'm not huge on it. He spent a little bit of time working with Valentina Shevchenko and her sister Antonia as they were passing by through Texas. He's on short notice, but he did have the LFA fight coming up, so he's not ultra short notice. He's the smaller man, but he's the faster man, and he might have a little bit of better output. And when I look at CUMMINS, anytime he's a 2-1 favorite, I'll probably look to fade him. And that's why I suspect the money's coming in. When you looked at him at 220, ooh, I'm going to take Martinez. Now that Martinez has settled in a little bit, plus 155, I think the line will stop here. But all the same, this is another underdog that has shot, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch more of them. But yeah, even Jonathan Martinez, the flyweight coming in on a week's notice, has a shot here by putting the better game plan together and just outworking this guy. How much do you want it? Outwork this guy. He could get the victory, but avoid him on DraftKings because I don't see any points being scored here, even with the victory. And as for CUMMINS, even if he gets the victory, again, not enough points for my liking, so pass.
We have Jean Villante taking on Ed Herman. Jean Villante, 9,000 on DraftKings, minus 245 favorite. Ed Herman, 7,300, plus 205. Not that this even matters, but there's a slight pricing mistake by the DraftKings people who make the lines in this one. Usually everything adds up to 16,002. This is the only one. I had to check on I checked on the site. I checked on the little database that I got. You're paying an extra $100 on Ed Herman here. I don't know if it's worth it. John Villante has been set up in so many of these spots where he's just this is a smash spot for Chris Weidman's buddy. And he just doesn't pull through. Guy averages 55.96 fantasy points. He doesn't have he doesn't have the wrestling, He was a football player.
Hofstra football
from Hofstra. That's how him and Weidman know. Weidman was on the wrestling team. He was
They're probably the same alma mater.
They're buddies. They went to the cafeteria together. They're still friends afterwards, but nothing about them in terms of their style, how they fight. Nothing.
There's no correlation.
There's no correlation whatsoever. Jean Villante gets hit a lot, but let's face it, Ed Herman, that's not really a threat all that much. I kind of see a slow-paced kind of big goober type of fight here where both guys land some strikes. Villante wins 29-28. I'm not a fight I'm very interested in, though, especially at this value.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. And this one is one of those spots that pains me because Ed Herman's my boy. I love me some Ed Herman. I've been a big supporter of this guy from the get-go, but not like I'm a supporter with my wallet. I'm just a supporter with him with my heart. We know the limitations of Ed Herman. Yeah, tough Portland, Oregon guy, decent wrestling. But in 2018, the wrestling's all but gone. He just doesn't have that explosive setup for it. He doesn't really have a blast double. He doesn't have a blast single. He can kind of just push you up against the cage and try to just outmuscle you a little bit. At 185, he had some size. He had that ability to outmuscle you. At 205, I'm sure he's going to be a little fresher. And outside of that win over Tim Boach, where he just kind of caught him with that clinch knee, he just doesn't look really good at 205. We got an aging Ed Herman here whose reflexes are shot. He never really moved his head, but he's really tough. He can just take the punches. But again, in 2018, Well, we've seen Derek Brunson blow him out. We saw Nikita Krylov blow him out. Those are really the only 2 times he's been knocked out, but that's in recent memory. Now we look at his wrestling. Well, it's all but gone. Okay, well, let's look at his striking. Somewhat serviceable, no power. He just kind of marches forward and tries to put it on you. And I don't know that with John Villante. John Villante is one of those guys that he will welcome a brawl and then likely lose said brawl, but he's willing to show up to the dance and do the dance. And Herman's not going to be able to break him, I don't think. This fight could look a lot like the Sam Alvey fight, not just because it's John Villante versus a redhead, but Alvey spends a lot of time just kind of backing up and trying to counter, and I could see Ed Herman kind of getting to an advanced point in his career, not looking to engage, not looking to... I don't think the game plan is, man, Villante's chinny. Let's go put pressure on him real quick, real early, fast start, see if we can break him early. I think it's more, let's use our veteranship and settle this fight into a pace and try to outpoint him. I don't know that that's the move. So I got to take Jean Villante. I don't love it.
No.
Jean Villante is a very untrustworthy guy.
9,000 Jean Villante on DraftKings is an easy guy not to pay up for.
Yeah, we have just seen Jean Villante take beatings. But in the few fights that he's properly matched up with, he makes the opponent look just out of his class. The Anthony Parashas of the world. He makes those guys look bad because, quite frankly, he's a little faster than them. He's got a little more power in them, and he can walk them down. I see Ed Herman just being too slow at 205 and Jean Villante being able to do that to him. The only one way to keep Villante off of you, really, is to sting him and hurt him. And a lot of guys can do that, but Herman's not one of those guys. So I got to take Jean Villante. For the 9,000, Herman's durability might be in question. If that's the case, maybe Villante knocks him out. Maybe he scores enough points to make that $9,000 worth it. But he hasn't really shown much propensity to go for that, to get that finish necessarily. And at Herman, I'm still going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he is probably a half durable guy still, especially at 205. Punches are a little bit heavier, but you're not quite draining yourself to make the weight anymore. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. My pick's got to be Jean Villante. I got a better read on some of these undercard fights, but yeah, so far it's a lot of dog or pass. But in this case, I don't want the dog. Give me Jean Villante.
We have Alex Garcia taking on Court McGee. Alex Garcia, 8,500 on DraftKings, minus 190 favorite. Court McGee, 7,700 plus 165. Who you got?
You know, Court McGee is just, he's another one of these guys that's shot to bits. He apparently, he looks to be shot to bits anyways, but he's got that pressure game. He's got that grinding game. And against certain types of opponents, that makes you dangerous. Alex Garcia is faster than this guy. Alex Garcia hits harder than this guy. Alex Garcia's grappling, probably not as good, but the power submission game has definitely got to go in his favor.
Gas tank.
And his gas tank is non-existent, dude. Like, after the first round, he is not the same guy. In fact, during the first round, he is not the same guy. In the second round, he's cooked. Usually in the third round, if he makes it that far, he's completely gassed. And you do not want to gas against Court McGee because he will continuously bring it on you. So my heart tells me that Alex Garcia beats this guy. My heart tells me that Alex Garcia hurts him enough that it doesn't knock him out. Court McGee, legendary toughness, but hurts him enough to just keep him honest, keep him from, advancing all the time. Maybe you could muscle this guy to the ground. We've seen Sean Strickland have good takedowns against Court McGee. Well, then why can't Alex Garcia explode into a takedown, hold him down, and just try to win the round? It's in Canada. If it's a close fight, it's one of those Court McGee's grinding, but he is getting hit with big shots. They'll probably side with Alex Garcia. I will want Alex Garcia. But the $8,500 is too rich for my price tag. And the minus 190, as much as I don't think it's that bad, Alex Garcia is untrustworthy because you don't put money on a guy that has about 7.5 minutes worth of cardio. You just don't do it. Even
sorry, Connor fans. Buzzing. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
That is a good point, though, right? You want to have the faith that, okay, if this is 1-1, if this is not a PFL fight that's only going to be a 2-rounder and I just get a draw out of it, this is going to be 3 hard rounds, and it's a 1-1 going to the third. I need to know that my guy at least has a shot of prevailing in those situations. And with Alex Garcia, he's a one-and-done striker. The power's so much that he hits you with the one shot, he keeps you honest. But with Court McGee, it's like, dude, he's been hit by everybody and lived to tell the tale.
And he's going to keep coming. It's an interesting fight for sure.
It's an interesting fight. The thing
how done is Court McGee? Is he done?
I think if this fight takes place on a lot of U.S. commissions, Court McGee might win it.
If we go back to Salt Lake City, we got Court McGee at altitude there.
Oh, buddy, all day. Yeah. Alex Garcia's tired just walking down to the octagon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, in that case, it's like, ooh, we got a big X factor. You put them at altitude, Court McGee's gas tank, you got Garcia tiring out even quicker, and that allows Court McGee to settle into his rhythm and use that grinding pace. But in 2018, it's not a sexy style. And you're seeing a lot of judges nowadays look for damage and control and basically who landed the big shot. With Alex Garcia, he usually lands the big shot. Yeah. It's few and far between. So volume punching should be with Court McGee. The gas tanks for Court McGee. I could see Court McGee being a legitimate dog here. But I am going to stick with Alex Garcia Maybe against my better judgment.
This is a fight that could just be a real slow-paced dog sled, though. Like, really, really boring, awful fight.
You could be right. You could be very right on that.
Alex Garcia is not above having a real slow, boring fight that nobody wants to watch. And frankly, I don't think you need to roster either one of those guys on DraftKings. Court McGee, if you think that he can sustain the first little bit, get into round 2 and kind of put it on him late at 7,700, maybe you mix him in. But Alex Garcia, I don't know if I'll be paying up for him this week. We got Nordine Taleb taking on Sean Strickland. Nordine Taleb 8,200 on DraftKings plus 100 on the betting line. Sean Strickland 8,000 minus 120. Obviously Nordine opened as the favorite here. Fights in Canada, but Strickland is a guy, training Dan Henderson and Smiling Sam and all those guys down in California, that they've been really high on him for a long time. The guy throws one hell of he has a great jab. Yeah. He's typically a pretty terrible DraftKings play, though. Yeah. His style just is not but frankly, there was a ton of people on this card, top to bottom, that are just not great DraftKings plays. Nordine is one of those guys that I think both me and you probably underestimated his ability as, he went from the tough house to the other tough house to
lost both of the tough houses.
Yeah, for sure. But he's been on a pretty good run, and hey, I've underestimated him so many times, but I'm gonna go back to the well. Underestimate. I think Strickland is gonna be able to utilize that jab from range, and we have a close decision win for Sean Strickland here. But it's a close fight. It's close to a pick'em, so I can understand people being on either side here. What's your take?
Yeah, you know what? There's actually a lot of similarities, strangely enough, between both these guys. They've both been fighting professionally for 10 years. They're both coming off an exactly a 5-month layoff coming into this fight. They're both 6-3 in the UFC. But Sean Strickland's 27 years old and Nordine Taleb's 37 years old. He got a light start. He started his first fight at 26 years old. And I think whereas we've underestimated Nordine is that he was actually getting a little bit better. And you looked at his age and thought, geez, he's 34 years old. He's not going to get any better than the version of him that just lost to King to try to get he just looked bad trying to get into the Ultimate Fighter. He comes in the UFC. He beats Vic Kruchik. He beats Jing Liang Li. Not a bad little win. He's fighting bottom feeders. He beats Chris Clements, but then we started to see some actual wrinkles to his game. The win over Eric Silva caught a lot of people by surprise. Eric Silva's supposed to be dynamic and athletic and faster than Nordine, and Nordine's just slow, stands in front of you, but Nordine catches him. He puts it on him. His fight with Santiago Ponzinibbio, dude, not that bad. He stood with Santiago Ponzinibbio. He didn't land a whole lot, something like 47 significant strikes, but he stood with him, which is a very difficult thing to do. His fight with Oliver Enkamp, not great, but he gets the job done. Danny Roberts freezes him up against the cage, knocks him out. Yeah, we're seeing that maybe this guy wasn't as bad as we thought, but at some point it's like there's not going to be any more coming out of it. I really think that he has potentially just kind of got
to his ceiling.
He got too silly. Now you look at those fights too, and a lot of those times it's like we're underestimating him on the striking aspect. We think Danny Roberts is probably a little crisper in the striking department. He catches him. Oliver Enkamp, it was a short notice replacement. We knew Nordine was going to do that. We underestimated him in the Eric Silva fight because of the striking. But his last fight against Claudio Silva, he just got taken down and submitted like fucking nothing. Yeah. And, he complains about it. Oh, the guy cheated. He grabbed his glove. He's all pissed off. He's now sat on the sidelines for 5 months. He's contemplated retirement. He's a bodyguard for celebrities in like the States. So there's a lot of traveling for like bodyguard work. Comes back to TriStar, gets a camp in. Again, I just don't know that his skill is going to get any better than what it currently is at age 37. When I look at his opponent, it's so frustrating for Sean Strickland because you talk to anybody that trains with him, and the guy's a stud. He had his first pro fight. He was 17 years old. He's a BJJ brown belt. He had a killer record in the King of the Cage promotion before coming to the UFC. He's got big wins. We're just talking about Alex Garcia. Sean Strickland smoked Alex Garcia. He tired him out. He took him to the third round, and he completely knocked him out. His fight was with Court McGee. Court McGee's a grinder. Court McGee's always coming on you, but he's able to secure takedowns against him. He's able to use that jab at range. He's able to put a decent little game plan together and beat Court McGee. There's some glimpses there for Sean Strickland, but he never really shows up and is the guy that you keep hearing about. His last fight, tough fight against Elizu Zaleski dos Santos, caught with the wheel kick, and he did get knocked out pretty cold in some of that ground and pound before obviously waking back up. 5-month turnaround after your first
Zaleski's a stud, though.
Stud. And you know what? Strickland Didn't look bad in that fight until he got caught. There are 14 significant strikes landed apiece. He's competitive. He's backing down Zaleski dos Santos, which is an important thing. And then he gets caught from the wheel kick. He never sees it coming. He gets pounded out. But there's something there. My problem is that he's got a 2-inch reach advantage on Nordine, but they're the same height. He also doesn't really fight like a long guy. Normally he fights shorter guys, again, like a Court McGee or an Alex Garcia. You have reach and height on those guys all day. But in this situation, he doesn't really have that height advantage over Nordine, and he's got the 2-inch reach advantage, but he doesn't fight like a long fighter. It's probably just going to be a striker's delight. Where I think Sean Strickland will be able to get some serious value and pull off the win here is that he can take Nordine down. When he takes Nordine down, he's better grapplers than him. So basically, use your striking to keep this guy honest. You're going to have to land more significant strikes than him. What I noticed with Sean Strickland is that 9 fights in the UFC, he can average between 45 and 85 significant strikes in a victory of just standing out. Whereas Nordine Taleb lands at a lower clip. So as far as it stays standing, Strickland just probably outpoints him standing. And then, hopefully, Strickland shoots that takedown, gets him down, and when Nordine's on the ground, that's your time to land ground and pound. That's your time to transition. He's got a nasty little back take on him, Sean Strickland. He's got those long legs. He takes Nordine's back. Maybe he can choke him out the way Claudio da Silva just choked him out. And then you're going to score some serious value, getting him at $8,000 and being only minus 120. But look at the fact that Nordine opens up as the favorite, and then within a week, now he's the underdog. People realize the merit on Sean Strickland. I realize the merit on Sean Strickland. I don't love that he's got to be on the road. I don't love the fact that he's got to take on a durable journeyman opponent that can definitely is capable of surprising people. But he's 10 years younger, and when you look at the numbers on opponents that have that much of an age difference, they generally come up on top. So the odds are good enough that I would take the play on him. And for the DK value, I think the price is right.
Nasrat Haqparast, 9,700, most expensive guy on the card, and a minus 900 favorite, taking on Thibaut Gouti. 6,500 plus 600. Gouti, let's face it, he's kind of just, in the world of like professional wrestling, he'd be kind of called like a jobber. The guy shows up to work and he's set up to lose in most spots. They did it against your boy Sage Northcutt. And Thibaut
might have won that fight.
Almost won that fight. But Nasrat is a guy who came into the organization short notice, and then it was a tough spot. But then we've seen real improvements from him. That fight against Diakese in his last time out was really like, okay, this is a guy to watch out for. I don't know if he's the champion, but this guy's super, super young still. He seems to be getting a lot better. And this is a pretty big step down, I would have to say, in competition from his last time out against Mark Diakese. So I understand the line. The question becomes, does he finish Gouti? How early does he finish Gouti? And on DraftKings, Nasrat's style doesn't really lend to high scoring all that much, especially when usually we get him and he's 7,800, or it's a pick'em type of spot.
Yeah, this is a huge price.
9,700 on DraftKings. He's really limiting what you can do with the rest of your roster. And he's not typically, his style, it's not like he's a power wrestler that is just going to be aggressive and take him down and score 5-6 multiple takedowns, and you feel like you have a safe floor. He could get a 30-27 here, win very, very decisively, score 80 points, which is fine for if it's a cash game situation. Sure, yeah. But for GPPs, you're not, that's not getting the job done. So obviously Haqparast gets the job done here, but the line, everything about it is kind of forcing me to pass.
Yeah, no, I think Haqparast all day. I mean, he's pretty much set up in a very winnable fight for him. The guy's actually got a very high ceiling, it would appear. He's only 23 years old. He's got a super interesting story, is that even though just 23, he was training at King's MMA, and they were super high on him. And then he was unable to get a visa because he's German. He was unable to get a visa to come back to the States. So they were like, shit, what are we going to do? The guy's super talented. So Faraz Zahabi, I guess, talks to Rafael Cordeiro and is like, he can get a visa to come to Canada. He just can't go to the States. So he goes to TriStar. He trains at TriStar for a couple of weeks. George St. Pierre sees the guy train. George has got his own private academy you have to get invited to go. He sees the guy train. He's like, I want this guy training with me. So clearly there's something there. 23 years old. People are high-level guys like Faraz Zahabi and George St. Pierre and Rafael Cordeiro. They see the promise in you. Guy's obviously not that bad. Yeah, it looks just like Kelvin Gastelum. Maybe George thought he was Kelvin Gastelum.
Maybe that's why they kicked him out of Kings as well. Wasn't Kelvin was there for a bit, wasn't he?
He's still there, isn't he?
Yeah. They were just like, this is getting too weird, man. Get out of here.
They're like, damn, Calvin's taking his strength and conditioning seriously these days. Looks pretty good. And they're like, oh shit, that's Calvin. This guy's making Calvin look bad. Get him out of here. No, I don't know. Basically, he's at TriStar. They're super high on him. Southpaw, 23 years old, young. He doesn't come from any type of martial arts background, but he started training, I think, at like age 14. He's kind of picked it up altogether. In his fight against Marcin Held, he comes in on short notice. He comes in on short notice in Poland, and he's taking on Marcin fucking Held. He drops Marcin Held in the first round. He's got some decent striking. He is 100% battering Marcin Held standing. The problem is Marcin Held just keeps diving on legs, and whereas this guy ends up in about 2 heel hooks, 3 knee bars, a couple toe holds, he lives to tell the tale. And that's something that with Marcin Held, when he gets your leg, it's usually game over. HAQPARAST survives on the ground. HAQPARAST standing is all over Marcin Held. Unfortunately, he loses a decision. Even on MMA decisions, and I remember Held winning the fight, and I had money on Held, and I remember biting my nails. But Bloody Elbow actually did score the fight for HAQPARAST, even though he was getting taken down the whole time, because of the damage he did standing. So in his fight with Diakese, I'm the fool that picks Diakese thinking, Casey's actually an underrated wrestler, he's a strong guy, he'll be able to do what Marcin Held did, just take this guy down. No, can't take HAQPARAST down, and HAQPARAST now is showing you that fluidity as a striker. He drops Diakese twice. That second round has 5 seconds more in it. He knocks Diakese out in the second round. This guy's got power. This guy's confident. This guy's always moving forward. Thibaut Gouti is a brawler. He's a boxer. He doesn't kick a whole lot. He's got big power in his hands. He knocked out Andrew Holbrook like nothing. He actually did drop Sage Northcutt in the first round as well. Hurt him in the second round. He's got some power. Problem is that he's really open in delivering said power. So at some point, HAQPARAST is going to march him down. He's going to have to counter. When he counters, he's going to leave himself open. He's going to get clipped. He's going to get knocked out. If HAQPARAST is $9,300, all day. HAQPARAST is $9,500. I don't really love it, but I think he does get the knockout. But HAQPARAST at $9,700, well, there's a problem, because if he's going to be low percentage owned, then I will take him.
He won't be low percentage.
I will take him and I will balance him out with the Pat
People
Cummins.
just look at minus 900. They'll see his inside the distance props, that type of stuff. Like all of that type of stuff factors into ownership a bunch. Like, and people just like paying up. People like paying up for the safety of that most expensive guy and filling out, finding the underdogs. We already talked about how there's like a lot of underdogs here that you can kind of make arguments for. Yeah. Like you can make it work. It's just whether it's worth it.
Yeah, I think HAQPARAST, if it doesn't happen early in the first round, it's because Gouti's backpedaling on him. Or Gouti is just smart enough to realize, okay, this guy's coming forward. I'm going to be smart. But the way Gouti fights is, at some point, he's a shorter man as well. At some point, he's going to start to get hit and he'll open up. And when he gets opening up, Teemu Pekkalin dropped this guy for fuck's sakes, right? Olivier Aubé-Mercier just took him down and submitted like another, but he had been finished all 3 times in his first 3 UFC fights. It was a miracle they gave him a 4th fight.
Didn't Olivier Aubé-Mercier win a fight without landing a significant strike against him? Is that the fight?
He buzzed Aubé-Mercier with a big right hand, but it was like Mercier just took it.
And then another Mercier fight.
And Thibaut Gouti is the kind. I think it was like the.
Was that the Tony Sims fight?
Tony Sims, yeah.
Was that Tony Sims?
Like a wreck job.
That was embarrassing.
And I like
you
Tony
love
Sims.
Tony Sims. Rest in peace.
Holy
Tony
shit.
Sims is your guy.
Terrible experiment. But
yeah, I like Nasrat. I actually had Nasrat against Diakese last time out. I thought he could just kind of pressure him, but and it worked out. But.
Yeah, last thing here with Thibaut Gouti is I'm not saying he's head not in the right place, but with Nasrat, he started out, he's fought 3 months ago, which I love, because you smoke Diakese, you look good, you're injury free. There's no sense in sitting these guys out for 6-7 months. Like, I don't like that. 3-month turnaround is perfect. He went to Germany for 3 weeks, spent some time at home. He's been at TriStar the last 7 weeks. Thibaut Gouti, very important to note. Thibaut Gouti started off at Jackson's MMA. Then he moved from Jackson's MMA to the Rain Training Center in California. Then he moved to the Wild Card Boxing Gym in Las Vegas. Then he moved to the Long Beach United Boxing Gym in Florida. And finally spent some time at Fusion XL, which is the strip mall gym that Alex Nicholson and his dad run. So, and then he went back to Jackson's. He's spent like a week at like 6 different camps, mostly working on his boxing. The guy hardly ever throws kicks. He doesn't really commit to takedowns other than his last fight with Northcutt, which he hurt Northcutt bad twice. He only landed like 24 significant strikes in that fight. He really mostly opted to try to take Northcutt down. He didn't really want to strike prolonged period of time. He hit him. He didn't knock him out. He went to a plan B. With HAQPARAST, you're not going to hit him and hurt him. And if you try to go to your plan B, which is out-wrestle him, and that is actually the path to probably beating HAQPARAST, is I don't think Thibaut Gouti's got the wrestling offense to physically do that for 15 minutes. So I got to go with HAQPARAST, and the odds are pretty much dictating everything I'm saying. People are high on him. and rightfully so.
We got Calvin Kattar taking on Chris Fishgold. Calvin Kattar is 9,100 minus 270 favor. Fishgold 7,100 plus 230. What's your take here?
This one's dangerous because I like Kattar. I think a lot of people like Kattar. He's got a fun style. His fight with Shane Burgos was just awesome. Even his UFC debut, short notice, Andre Fili, great times. Dusted his last fight against Renato Moicano, but he's the kind of guy, the nice record.
There's no shame in losing to Moicano.
No, none at all. And he went the distance with him. There's no shame in that. He's a fun striker. He's an entertaining guy. He's got an awesome looking record. He built his record up the right way, fighting on the regional scene against tough guys, moving them up. I see why people get behind him, but the minus 270, that's a risky proposition. The reason it's such a risky proposition here is that in all three of Calvin Kattar's fights in the UFC, he hasn't really been tested in the grappling department. His fight with Andre Fili didn't commit to the takedowns. They basically just struck for the 3 rounds. In his next fight against Shane Burgos shot no takedowns. He won the first round against Burgos, and then he seriously got hurt in the second round against Burgos, and he knocks him out in the third. It's a big win. The fight with Moicano, he never gets off. Moicano's kind of seems to be a master of like distance and the perception of you think he's there, you're going to hit him, and he kind of slides out of the way. But he has easily over 100 significant strikes landed against Kattar. Kattar is seriously finding it hard to hit the guy. But all 3 of those fights are basically just striking matches. He wins 2 of them, and he loses 1. The thing with Chris Fishgold is that he's looking to throw 2 punches at a time, and he's looking to barrel straight into you, smash you up against the cage, throw you to the ground, and just try to out-grapple you. He's got most of his submission wins are by guillotine. He's also got a pretty decent little rear naked choke. It's all power. And it's mostly first-round finishes. He did fight Nick Huron-Webb in a fight where it was probably the toughest guy he ever fought. Nick Huron-Webb's a former tough reject who could not cut it in the UFC, and it went 5 rounds. But Fishgold showed some promise. He went 5 hard rounds, and ultimately he showed that he could smoke you in the first round, but he could also settle into a pace and try to smoke you out in the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Like, he'll do what he has to do to get the win. Cardio's not all that bad. But the biggest thing here is that the way Fishgold fights, you watch any tape on him, he throws 2-3 punches, he bulldozes you into the cage. He's usually the stronger guy. With Kattar's no doubt a better striker than this guy. Kattar's no doubt faster than this guy. Kattar's no doubt got better footwork than this guy. But if he allows Fishgold just to move forward and push him up against the cage, this is Fishgold's featherweight debut. He's never fought at 45. He is a strong dude at 155 pounds. He is 17-1-1. That is a fantastic record at 155 pounds. So him coming down to 145, it could go 2 ways. He could be zapped and not have that energy. Or he just may be
so much slower than Kattar, who's really good and who's really quick and has great foot movement. Like, that's kind of his key.
Yeah, but if you look at tape on Kattar prior to coming to the UFC, because you want to see tape on how does he grapple. When you look at regional tape on him, there's a reason he was a 3-1 underdog against Fili in his debut. He's not short notice, but there's not a whole lot there. Like, he's in tooth and nail wars with guys that are not of UFC caliber. Some fights he barely squeaks by. He's got split decisions. He's got fights that were against 6-2 opponents that were bloody wars. He's got 8 knockouts on his record, but he's mostly a decision guy. He knocked out Burgos, but outside of that, his power doesn't really translate into the fight, at least against high-level opponents. There's holes in Kattar's game. It's just that we're quick to overlook the holes because he cashed big for us on Fili, and hey, he looked really good against Burgos in spots, and hey, we'll give him a pass because it's Renato Moicano. Who's Fishgold? Who's he fought? Fucking nobody. So why would you favor Fishgold over Kattar? And I'm not necessarily favoring him. I'm saying for these odds, I'm not willing to pay money on Kattar and then see him get held up against the cage for 15 minutes. I'm not looking for that. And with Fishgold, he takes a year off after the Nick Huron-Webb fight. And then he takes a year off, and then he fights Jacobson. He submits Jacobson in the first round, and then he takes a year off, and now he's coming back after another year off. He's basically fought twice in the last 3 years. I don't love that, but he's at 45 now, and he actually spent some time grappling. He has a match with Marcin Held, which he got armbarred in, but it's a Polaris match, it's high level. He's the former Cage Warriors 55 champ. He defended the belt 3 times. Now he's fighting at 45. There's some merit to him, again. Now, he's got a nasty submission game. He's got a lot of first-round finishes. So, would you want to play him for 7,100? I'm going to say no, only because I think if he wins, he's going to have to win on decision by getting takedowns and just holding somebody
against the fence. Holding up against the fence is the biggest red flag on DraftKings. Like, if somebody does most of their work without actually securing the takedowns, holding up against the cage, That literally just stalls points on both sides. Nothing gets scored from that position,
Nothing.
pretty much ever.
No,
So,
but the majority of FISHGOLD's takedowns are up against the cage.
Yeah.
Because at some point, he can push and pull and just get your hips off the ground. And when he gets his hip off the ground, he lifts guys up and he slams them. He's extremely strong. That's one of the issues that I have with KATTAR is that we've just seen him strike. So what happens if this is a full-on grappling match? He's a blue belt in BJJ. FISHGOLD's a brown belt in BJJ. He's also got 12 submission wins on his record. So if it's a style makes fight, then maybe the grappler's going to have a good shot here. So because of the value, I'm looking to stay away from Calvin KATTAR.
on the cranberry sauce card comes the cranberry sauce fight.
Double cran.
We've got Sarah Moras taking on Talita Bernardo. Sarah Moras, 8,700 on DraftKings, minus 170 favorite. Bernardo, 7,500 plus 150. Again, this was another one that was minus 200 last night when I made the boards. And then before we started recording here, it's dropped 30 points on that side. And I can completely understand why they're doing that. People are going, minus 200, Sarah Moras. No, thank you. Bernardo, what we have seen from her is, I think, her debut against...
Marion Renault.
Yeah, sorry, her follow-up fight against Aldana, I believe.
Yeah, Irina
she landed some takedowns. So we have seen Moras. I remember I was there live. The fight where she fought Alexis Dufresne.
Holy shit.
And she somehow won the fight from being on her back the whole time. Like, it was...
She landed 15 strikes, by the way.
It was egregiously bad fight. Now, Dufresne had missed weight, and she
did nothing from on top.
And she did nothing from top. But she had no bit. You can't win a fight when you're not, like, unless if you're on the bottom and you're throwing tons of elbows and the other person's just doing it and the other person's just burying their head trying to survive. Different story. You can win from bottom. That was not winning from bottom. And we have seen that is where she really struggles. I don't know, man. Like, this fight sucks. Gun to my head, I'm taking the underdog just because she's the underdog, and we have a 5-4 fighter versus a 5-2 fighter. Neither one of these ladies should be in the UFC, frankly.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. I'm going to take the dog here and go with Toledo Nogueira. Price was looking extra nice a couple of days ago, but I see now money is coming in on Toledo Nogueira, probably in bunches, considering that it's dropped 30 points. Sarah Moras, like, we know where she's at. You know, she is limited in every aspect of the game, even from her time in the Ultimate Fighter. You know, has the win over Tara La Rosa, but outside of that, man, she's just out of her depth. Her striking's terrible. She pushes all of her punches. She has no snap, no zip, absolutely no power. Her wrestling, non-existent. The one win over Ashley Evans Smith, pulled guard to get that fight to the ground. Her grappling's okay. She's only actually a purple belt, but she's slick enough. We saw in her last fight with Lucy Pudilova, she gets the takedown in the first round. She's largely dominating Lucy Pudilova on top. Terrible stand-up, but as soon as it stood back up, it's like, woohoo, out the window. There's nothing left. She's tired. She's getting pieced up. She can't get the takedowns anymore. So she falls into a rhythm where she's got no range, no distance, no reach. She is very slow. She's flat-footed. There's no explosion there, no footwork. And Pudilova is actually a decent striker. And Pudilova just pieces her up. The problem is you look at kind of all of her fights, and is gaps. You're talking about that Dufresne fight. That was 4 fights ago. How many years ago is that?
It was like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, 5-6 years ago. She's fought 4 times in 5 or 6 years. She averages 1 fight per year. Now, someone will say, hey, this is her second fight in 2018. A, we're at the end of 2018. B, she didn't fight once in 2017. So it kind of averages it out now, doesn't it? But she's just never making any improvements, man. It is what it is. The fight with Jessica Andrade, there was like one bright spot. She had a back take with like 20 seconds left in the 3rd round. And she's celebrating like she won the fight. Basically, like, that's where she's at. But she has spent the last 5 months at Extreme Couture. She's packed up everything in BC, left Kelowna, went to Extreme Couture. She's working with kind of an all-girls team. The problem is that the team, real low class. Like, Misha Tate's hanging out there, but you know she's not putting in rounds with them. And Gina Mazzani, what is that, your top partner? Like, what are you really getting out of this? I don't know. I can't go with Sarah Moras. With Toledo Nogueira, also freaking terrible, but she's a BJJ black belt, where Moras is a purple belt. Toledo Nogueira was a decent grappler and a decent athlete, but her husband's into MMA, and he opens up his own gym. So she wants to bring some exposure. So she just jumps in MMA. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. She's just looking to bring some exposure for this guy. She shouldn't have been in the UFC, but she took a short-notice fight with Marion Reneau. Now you're in the UFC. Marion Reneau's a black belt as well. Marion Reneau's fought some tough girls. Marion Reneau is serviceable. But Toledo Nogueira gets the takedown in the first round and then tires out. Gets a takedown in the second round too. But she's so gassed by this point that she obviously ends up just getting beat up and then in the end ends up getting TKO'd in the third round of that fight. It's like, okay, fair enough. But her next fight, it's Irene Aldana. Irene Aldana is way faster than her, is way rangier than her, is a much better striker, and has great cardio. You know, being from Mexico City, she can fight for days. We know Nogueira's going to get tired, and quite frankly, that's exactly what Toledo does. She gets tired, but she scores takedowns again. Yeah. When she's standing, dude, she doesn't move her head. She
lost 2 fights, and she scored 34 points per fight. Now, this is the easiest opponent that she's had.
Yes, this is the easiest opponent she's had. And if the fight hits the ground, you've got a black belt in Toledo Bernardo versus a purple belt in Sarah
who's happy to be down there.
She's always just happy to be down there.
Because her striking is so bad.
Striking is so bad that she's pulling guard. But if you pull guard and you've got Bernardo on top of you, not going to be good. If you want to get on top of Bernardo, you got to complete a takedown, which she can't do. So now we have a striking battle. And it is going to be an awful striking battle. But it's a striking battle that Toledo Nogueira has a little more zap to her punches. She gets tired, and Sarah Moras seems to have a little bit of a better gas tank, but this is do or die. You're 0-2 in the UFC. You fought 2 good opponents. Now you're getting a bad opponent with a full camp. You got to make something happen. She's a little bit better in every aspect of MMA. So barring she doesn't completely gas out. Only 31 years old. You know, she's not over the hill. Moras is 30. They're the same age. They're relatively the same experience level. Moras has got more MMA experience, and Bernardo's got more grappling experience. But all the same, I think she could get the victory. And when you're looking at the fact that she's an underdog at plus 150 and only $7,500 on DraftKings, I think it's worth a play.
Yep. We got T. Edwards taking on Don Madge. T. Edwards, 9,400 DraftKings, minus 485 favorite. Don Madge is 6,800 plus 385. T. Edwards had one hell of a performance on Dana White Contender Series. This guy out of the MMA Lab, one of the main training partners of Sugar Sean O'Malley. This new little wave from the MMA Lab may be something to watch out for. Like, this guy looks like he's got the collegiate wrestling background. And he's got the explosion in his strikes, as evidenced by his win on the show there. He looks like he's super young, too. He looks like he's got all of the makings of someone to really watch out for in this division. I don't know much about Don Madge. Maybe you do.
Yeah, well, T. Edwards is not super young. He's 28 years old. But this guy reminds just an early green version. He fucking reminds you of Tyron Woodley, man. He's a former state wrestling champion out of Virginia and a state placer, which is huge as far as high school wrestling goes. And then as far as NCAA, 2-time qualifier, once for Arizona State University, and he wrestled for Old Dominion as well. The wrestling's there. When you see him in fights, he's not using the wrestling.
Because he hasn't had to, maybe.
Yeah, because he's got a hell of a right hand. He touches you with the right hand, you fold over. He's 6-1, and all 6 of his wins are by first-round knockout. In fact, 3 of those knockouts are in less than 1 minute. He reminds you of Tyron Woodley. He's not out there moving a whole lot. He sits, crouched in his stance, with that right hand pumped up, ready to go. Second you come in his range, he hits you. But with Tyron Woodley, when the right hand wouldn't work, then you fall back on the wrestling. With T. Edwards, the right hand's still working. So you haven't had to see the wrestling, but just know, the wrestling is there. This guy's a hell of an athlete. You look at just wrestling footage on him. We're going to talk about RJ and BHULLAR. I understand one guy's a heavyweight and one guy's, a featherweight. But, dude, this guy's wrestling is legit. He's a quick, explosive athlete. He's got great low singles, power double. I really like what I see out of T. Edwards. The one issue I'm having here is that he's a massive favorite and he's got a dangerous opponent in Don Madge. Don Madge is an EFC Africa guy, so easy to laugh off. But Don Madge is a bandit, dude. He is one tough customer. He started fighting pro Muay Thai like 14 years old. Moved to Thailand, lived in Thailand between 14 and 20, and competed over 75 times in Thailand. Has a record of like 74-3 in Thailand. Comes back from Thailand, back to South Africa, and he wants to pursue MMA. Pursues MMA. When you watch him in his fights, guys aren't really actively trying to take him down, but he just puts pace on guys. He's got a great chin, he puts pace on guys. He's 7-3, 7-3-1. All 3 of his losses are to the same guy, actually, Leo Meinhardt. So technically, you've only really lost to one guy, and in the first fight against him, he 10-8s the guy in the first round, he beats him in the second round, and he has a broken orbital in the third, so he gets TK'd in the third. The second fight, flat out robbery, he loses, And then in the third fight, he gets caught in a guillotine. So I don't want to make excuses for the guy, but he is a pace fighter. He'll stand in front of you and he will go to war with you. He's been in 5-round fights 3 times, and his cardio seems to check out. He is, yes, just a stand-up specialist, but he's also a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got some skills. T. Edwards smokes this guy because you've got a long-time Muay Thai practitioner who's just going to put volume punching on you against a former NCAA 2-time qualifier out of credible schools who is a better athlete, who's training at a much better gym.
So you're saying we're going to see the wrestling this time around? Likely?
T. Edwards is 6-1, and his 6 wins are first-round finishes. So what's going to happen when he doesn't get the first-round finish? His only career loss is a decision. It was the only fight that made it out of the first round. He tired and he lost. That is also the only fight he's ever moved up a weight class in. He fought that one at 170, and he's a natural 55er. He competes much better at 55. But only 6-1. We're only 7 fights into his career. He's only been fighting professionally for 5 years. He has a young record, and when you look at him on Dana White's Contender Series, he gets a 28-second knockout win. And they talk to him afterwards, and he's like, they're like, oh, well, what else were you looking to showcase? And he's like, you know, I've been using the right hand, and it's been working, and we haven't had to do anything else. But Johnny Hendricks used to think like that, too. No, I'm not going to use my wrestling, because I'll just touch them one time, and they'll fall down. What I'm saying is eventually these guys touch you, and you don't get knocked out. And Don Madge got one hell of a chin on him. If he doesn't get knocked out, and this is a 2nd and 3rd round fight, and T. Edwards is tired, and T. Edwards is too tired to shoot these takedowns, he will get pieced up by Don Madge, who pushes a very quick pace. Don Madge actually signed to the UFC to fight David Tamor, in what would have been a striker delight, but he ended up getting hurt, and he ended up getting sidelined. There's no reason to think that it was fractured ribs. I don't know if that keeps you out of the gym for a long time. I don't know if you're not grappling, but what I'm saying is, it's disrespectful to give a plus 385 to Don Madge. In fact, T. Edwards was minus 500 last night.
Yeah.
And he's still 485. But you can see where their reasoning is. Maybe just a little sprinkle on Madge because there's the unknown there. And sometimes when we look at prospects and they're smoking guys and they've got the credentials, we all get really high on them. But we haven't seen them gut check. So you don't know what they're made out of.
And this may not be the spot, though.
It might not be the spot. It's just...
But the value, what you're saying, is maybe a sprinkle on Madge.
You got Don Madge that's fought 5 rounds 3 times versus a guy that's been outside of the first round 1 time. So there's something there. Now, T. Edwards, I do think this guy's got a very promising future. But like Tyron Woodley, he'll have to get fucked up at some point to really realize what needs to be done, what needs to be changed, all these different things. And maybe this is not the spot. But... maybe it is a spot. So I got Edwards. Gun to my head, my pick is Edwards. The $9,400 on Edwards, I'm just going to go with a different direction personally. And the $485, that's the... not interested. I'm not interested in that.
Arjun Bhullar takes on Marcelo Golm. Bhullar, 8,800, minus 200. Golm is 7,400 and plus 170. Striker versus grappler. What we've seen from Bhullar, the problem is he doesn't have much from top position, though. He can get you down there. Canadian Olympic wrestler. He's got the takedowns, but like on the ground there, like that loss to Polish, Vicharak or Wiazorek or whatever you want to call him.
How many heavyweights are thrown up?
Sure, but like, come on, man. He had no answer. Once he got into that position, he was just lost.
Yeah,
lost.
Fair.
Absolutely lost. So you can.
Well, he's a blue belt.
This other goes. Bhullar probably barrels forward, takes him down, is able to maintain top control, doesn't land too much of a beating from top control. They get back up. Golm's a little bit tired. They have basically a repeat where, like, this is kind of how I see it playing out. But, like, I don't see Golm necessarily getting up multiple times here.
Sure.
And I see Bullar's top game just isn't aggressive. That you could see, like, 3 takedowns, maybe 4. Maybe the ref stands him up one time. 4 takedowns, but, like, not too much going on the bottom. He doesn't pass guard.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have an offensive top game whatsoever. He kind of just gets you there, and then he's happy to hold you there and do whatever it takes to make sure the ref doesn't stand you back up.
Well, because here's the thing, and this is truthfully how I believe in that, is that if you're Arjan Bhullar, you're a lifelong wrestler. Not only did he represent Canada at the Olympics in 2012, but he won a Commonwealth gold medal for Canada in 2012, and he was also like a 3-time Canadian Wrestler of the Year. He's kind of done everything you can kind of really do at heavyweight wrestling within the country. But very important to notice that, like, Canadian Olympian, I think he finished 13th. He wrestled 1 time, lost, and that was the end of his tournament. And Commonwealth gold medalist. That's like NCAA D1 All-American.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's not anything more than that. So don't look at him like an Olympian and be like, oh, he's an Iranian.
Yeah, when you're
Russian.
representing Canada.
Like, I'm sorry to say that. I am Canadian, and I love
when
Canada.
you represent America at the Olympics, or you represent Russia at the Olympics in wrestling, there's levels to this.
Sean Pearson was a fucking gangster.
Dan Kelly is a 4-time
Gangster.
judo Olympian.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're very much right. Is he great at judo? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he great at judo on the world stage? No, motherfucker. He went to the Olympics 4 times
Because
and was like 13th, 26th, 29th, 42nd. Like, it just continuously got worse. But with Bhullar, what I'm getting at is that you spent all this time wrestling, that he is not a fighter. He is a wrestler. His ground game, not developed. His striking game, not developed. His wrestling game, on point, especially because you're a heavyweight and just the wrestling level is real low here. But his first fight against Luis Henrique, I got a lot of guys messaging me from BC that have been around with Arjan Bhullar from the get-go, and they're saying, don't put money on him. There's a good chance he loses his fight. How's he going to lose his fight against Luis Henrique, who's basically a Brazilian wrestler, against a guy that, you know, at least has won stuff and been to a level? But Bhullar looks terrible in that fight. He really does. In the first round, he's able to get the takedown. In the second round, the takedown's not there, and you really get a sense of, he lands 1 left hook that temporarily drops Henrique, but outside of that, his cardio is really not on pace. His ground and pound is really not there. He is not trying to pass the guard on you whatsoever. He tires out in the third round and gets pieced up by Henrique and ends up winning what is actually a close decision in his own backyard. His second fight in the UFC, again, he gets a quick takedown against a Polish opponent that's so tall, you know, center of gravity's not quite there. He takes him down. He does nothing with the fight while it's on the ground, and then eventually gets submitted. So what have we seen from him? We've seen that he can't really strike, and that he's got no ground and pound, and that he's got no submission defense, but he can wrestle, and that's really all he's got. He's almost like a Jared Rochalt, but even Rochalt's a better striker than this guy, but that's where he's at. 7-1. That was his first loss. All of his wins, dude, they're usually by decision, and they're usually take the guy down and hold the guy down. He's developing. He's only actually been doing MMA for 4 years. So think about that. You're 28 years old. You've wrestled your entire life. Now you're going to do MMA. What you're going to do is you're going to show up to the gym and you're just going to wrestle full-grown men who are trying to punch you all of a sudden. He hasn't really picked up the skills. So he tries to move to American Kickboxing Academy. Hey, why not work out with Daniel Cormier and work out with Cain Velasquez and work out with some of these big herky-jerky heavyweights, even guys like Daniel Malanchuk. They will show me something. I can learn something there. But he's weird, man, because he's not in this for his own personal fame. He's not in this for his own personal accolades. He's in this for, I'm the first Sikh to fight in the UFC, 1 billion strong in India. He's born in Canada, by the way. He's not born in India, but he's all about this 1 billion strong, 1 billion strong. He's not in it for his own accolades. He's not in it for his own glory. He's in it for, I'm going to try to bring exposure to another cause. And I honestly think that he's going to get exposed. If he hasn't already been exposed, he's about to get exposed, and he is
Getting exposed against Marcelo
good.
GOLM, though?
Okay, so here's where GOLM actually has a shot with him. GOLM's UFC debut is the biggest gift of all time. He fights Christian Colombo, and very predictably
He does
so.
what he has to do to Christian Colombo. You
Very
smash Colombo. If
predictably
you
so.
don't smash Colombo, you have no business.
You've got a problem. But he goes out there. He's a Team Nogueira guy at the time. He's young into his career. He's only got 5 fights. He's smoked all 5 guys in the very first round. He gets Colombo, and he's on short notice, but he gets Colombo, and he gets it in Brazil, and he smokes him out. It's his second fight. That's what's more telling. He fights Timothy Johnson. Now, Timothy Johnson's actually 20 pounds bigger than Arjan Bhullar. And Timothy Johnson is a D2 All-American, but there's some similarities there. You know, he's a big, strong wrestler like Arjan Bhullar. He goes 0 for 6 on takedowns against GOLM. He does not take GOLM down. GOLM's actually one of these new breed 240-pound lean heavyweights. Good movement, good strike output, good power, but they're not big and herky-jerky. And Bhullar's wrestled big herky-jerky guys, fat guys, his entire career. Go Arjan Bhullar wrestling. Watch his wrestling. The guys he's fighting, they're not even shooting takedowns. They're mostly just trying to stand. it's a lot of upper body stuff. Now, the problem with Golm is that Johnson literally, if Johnson wants the clinch, Golm allows him to have the clinch. And in doing so, Johnson works him up against the cage, tires him out, and beats him. What does this kid do? Leaves Brazil, goes to American Top Team. Been at American Top Team for 6 months now, working with guys like Steve Mocco, who is a better wrestler than Arjan Bhullar, working with a better team of guys. He is going to just simply stuff the takedowns and outpoint him. This is going to be a terrible fight. This is going to go 15 minutes. I don't want Golm, even though he's only $7,400, and I think he's going to win. I think he's just going to, he's got a good inside leg kick game, good outside leg kick game, faster hands, and he's going to move. He'll hit Bhullar. Bhullar will close the distance, hold him up against the cage. They'll eventually separate. He'll hit Bhullar. Bhullar will grab a hold of him, close him against the cage. Bhullar's got nothing, dude. And the last point here is Bhullar spent 5 months at AKA. The last 5 months, not the last 5 months, but just 5 months after his last loss. And then they announce this fight, and he comes back to Checkmat in BC to do the last 4 weeks of his camp. It should have been the other way around, dude. You should have gone to AKA and finished up this camp. Yeah. And even when he was at AKA, Cormier just finished his fight. He's not back in. Cain Velasquez just dusted to pieces. Daniel Malanchuk's back. I think he fights at ACB in Poland, so he's back there. Who the fuck was he even working
The whole camp was probably surrounding Khabib. Frankly,
all Khabib.
Everything would have been Khabib time.
Yeah, he's got a picture of him and Khabib.
That gym would have been complete. Like that. Think about the biggest fight maybe in the whole gym's history, and like that gym has had a lot of fights.
Yeah, of course.
All attention was going to be on Khabib. Like Arjan Bhullar was probably not getting very much attention.
For sure. And I just don't know realistically what could he have picked up in that. Sometimes I see him stand there with his hand positioning and I think, this guy's figuring it out. But with just only 4 years in your career, what you got to realize is that there's a long way to go. And at 32 years old, I don't know that he's going to be able to grasp that long way to go. He's one of those guys that you punch him clean in the face. He's never really experienced that before. Whereas Golm, it's like, that's just another day at the office. Sure. So the fact that it's dog money is the biggest appealing thing here, is that you can have Golm for plus 170, only $7,400, and then he's a guy with a legitimate chance to win as an underdog. As I believe he's probably a better shot than Don Madge. Don Madge is a big underdog, but he's got a shot. Toledo Bernardo's got a shot. Chris Fishgold got a shot. You know, there are some acceptable underdogs on this card, and I do believe that Marcelo Golm is one of them.
And finally, we have Justin Ayari taking on Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray is the favorite, 8,300 and minus 150. Justin Ayari, 7,900 plus 130. What you take?
Again, I could be talking to the underdog here. Justin Ayari, there's nothing that he does that is exceptionally good, but he's got a couple things coming into him for this fight.
The problem with him, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
What the hell has he been doing?
Yeah, he's been off for
his last fight was
months.
Darren Till in May of 2017.
Yeah, 17-month layoff.
He went to the decision against Darren Till. That says something.
He got smashed in that fight too.
He did get smashed, but he took it.
So that's my thing with
where does
Ayari.
This guy stand? We don't know.
Right, but he's only 26 years old. So even if he's had 17 months off, you and I talk about this all the time. He fought Darren Till. He was 24 years old, right? So do we think he's going to come back worse at 26? Like, no. All indications would be he probably got better at 26. Now, he's another guy that left the tight little confines of Germany, where he's a brown belt, Planet Eater brown belt. Spent a lot of time with Peter Svoboda when Dean Lister's in Germany. Obviously, they work together. But he spent the last, I think, 7 weeks of this camp at American Top Team as well. So another guy that's made that transition, try to get those better looks, working with some good guys there. Has Matt Brown, has Dustin Poirier, has Luis Santos, has some guys that can give him some different looks. Hopefully, he is making those improvements. Now only 26, you got to assume he's still not even in the prime of his career. He could be getting a little bit better. But it's all about output with him. He has the chance to just outpoint Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray gets in gunfights where he just doesn't do anything. I mean, the guy actually lost a fight to Cajun Johnson. That makes him very untrustworthy. The thing with Ray is that he leaves TriStar and starts his own gym, Braveheart MMA in Scotland. And then Cajun Johnson, a former sparring partner of him at TriStar, beats him. Tricks him, really. I thought Stevie Ray won the fight, but all the same, dude. You lost the first round easy. You got outpointed by Cajun Johnson just backpedaling. The second round, you got taken down. You ended up scoring some points. Then in the third round, it's all Stevie Ray, but the ring IQ just might not be there because it's the punch output. He's got some power in his hands, but he knocked out Marcin Bandel when he came to the UFC. He knocked out Leandro Mafra when he came to the UFC. Yeah. And since then, the power's not there. Yeah. He hit Joe Lozon with 120 significant strikes. Joe Lozon did not move. He stood there and got pounded.
And this is a battle depleted Joe Lozon at this stage in his career.
Well, there's the other thing. If I was to say, well, what's Stevie Ray's biggest win? It's like, well, you know, he beat Joe Lozon. He beat a shot version of Joe Lozon. It's like, well, did he also beat Ross Pearson? He beat a shot version of Ross Pearson, who's on a 3-fight losing streak. And even then, the fight with Ross Pearson was actually pretty damn close.
Yep.
So his 2 biggest wins over guys that are, you know, relatively going to be looked at as being shot. He has since gone back to TriStar. So obviously he realized, geez, I got to be in a big gym, and he is back in TriStar. But the flip side of that is AYARI is with a big gym as well, an American top team. AYARI, because coming from that Peter Sabata training, is I remember Sabata just throws a lot of leg kicks. So even if there's not a whole lot going on standing, he's just scoring a little bit of points with those leg kicks. AYARI kind of does the same thing. In his fight with Judo Jim Wallhead, he lands a decent amount of significant strikes. He shows off. You know, he's not the cleanest striker, and he looks very unathletic, but he can get the job done, and he gets the job done against Jim Wallhead in a fight that people screamed robbery, and it was a split decision, but you rewatch that fight, there's no doubt about it, AYARI wins that fight. The next fight against Darren Till, this is what's important to me. AYARI fights him at 170. Darren Till misses weight and comes in at 176. Darren Till was probably 200 pounds that night. Darren Till smokes AYARI. He drops him twice. AYARI takes his best punches and loses the fight. So now you got AYARI 17 months later. This is AYARI's lightweight debut. So he went from fighting Darren Till at welterweight, and Till missed weight, it was 176, to now fighting Stevie Ray at 155. Can you honestly tell me that Stevie Ray hits harder than Darren Till? No. So I don't know that he's going to get caught and get knocked out. So I honestly think it's a 15-minute striking battle, and we're going to have AYARI a little bit bigger. He's not the slowest guy, so I don't know it's a significant speed advantage for Stevie Ray, but just output. Like you see, and I know I'm using the same example for a lot of these guys, but there's guys like Stevie Ray, and there's guys like Nordine Taleb, or you know, Sean Strickland's probably a better example, or Andre SOUKHAMTHATH. The striking's there. There's just not enough of it. You know, if you're seriously going to go out there and try to land 40 significant strikes and get the victory, outside of the Joe Lozon fight, Stevie Ray...
People talk about robberies all the time, but it's just like, if you're not laying it on the other guy enough, like, you put yourself in the situation to get quote-unquote robbed. And people will call robberies and these types of fights all the time, but it's just like, yeah, but like, you can understand how a judge could get confused. They probably freaking fell asleep halfway through the fight half the time.
Well, that's the thing. So there's not a whole lot going on. So I think when you look at it, you're like, oh, gee, Stevie Ray looks more composed in there. And Stevie Ray, he landed that big right hand, but, you know, he landed the one big right hand and not much else, whereas this other guy's just kicking away. And then finally, if you need a little bit of an X factor for why you should maybe take a shot on a lineup on a guy like Justin AYARI at 79, is that I'm looking at the fact that AYARI might be able to just outpoint him in a lackluster and boring-ass fight standing. But he could win standing. But he is better than Stevie Ray on the ground. He is, like I said, he's a Peter Sabata. Actually, he's a Dean Lister brown belt, Planet Eater guy. Spent a lot of time with Peter Sabata, who's a Dean Lister black belt. But Stevie Ray was taken down 5 times in his fight against Alan Patrick. He was taken down 5 times in his fight with Joe Lozon, and he was taken down twice against Cajun Johnson. So we haven't really seen AYARI's takedown game, but Stevie Ray's takedown defense really ain't all that great. So not only could AYARI potentially just win this fight standing, he could throw a wrinkle in the game plan, score a couple takedowns, and maybe even submit Stevie Ray, or at the very least, score some points, have some dominant positions, and get the victory. So when I'm looking at very much, this is a dog or pass card. There's at least 5 fights on this card. I don't really like the favorite. The dog's the dog for a reason. The dog's always got to scare you a little bit. There's a reason why he's the underdog.
You never feel comfortable.
No,
you never feel great about it.
But you got to have the balls on you to say, this is a guy with a shot. And I think a lot of the time when you think, should BHULLAR beat GOLM? Yeah, I guess so. But considering the odds, is he going to beat him? If they fought 10 times, how many times is BHULLAR going to comfortably win? So there's some value on GOLM. There's some value on a lot of these underdogs. I know I've been a little all over the place, so just to recap real quick, I am going to go Volkan Oezdemir. I'm taking Michael Johnson. I'm going to take Pat Cummins ever so reluctantly. Pass on CUMMINS, but again, I see the
Pogie Rob's going to parlay all of this, you realize.
Pogie Rob, let's split it. There's some serious money here. I'll tell you what. If you go Oezdemir, Johnson, Pat Cummins, Jonathan Martinez, Jean Villante, Court McGee, Sean Strickland, Nasrat Hakparas, Chris Fishgold. Actually, you know what? Just void that fight. Just avoid that fight. But take Toledo Bernardo. Avoid Madge versus Tay Edwards. Take GOLM and take AYARI, and it'll still pay big. And you don't even have to take all the fights. 13-fight card. There's plenty to pick and choose from, and there's some serious value here. So I'm looking very excited for this one. I'm skipping my girlfriend's 30th birthday to watch this shit, and it is a terrible card. Someone told me the other day, they said UFC Moncton is dog shit.
That's what I've been saying that.
And you know what? You could be right. But
I'm definitely right.
But if you were to take the same sentence and just drop the letters UFC, the sentence still
Moncton.
It remains the same.
I don't know how they ended up here, to be perfectly honest. And
Wow.
that actually brings us back to our challenge, our thing, which you got to give the show a like. You got to leave your DraftKings handle and
give a
say
like.
where on earth this event would have been a better place to hold it.
Did you say worse at the top of the show? Was it a worse place to hold it?
No, best, I believe.
Pretty much.
It doesn't matter. Wow. Just say a place.
You know
Say
what?
a place on earth other than Moncton.
I
You are in the draw as long as you give the show a like and leave your DK handle. That's it.
I don't want to be the guy that says it. But New Brunswick has a reputation being the armpit of Canada. It's just what it is.
Yeah. Fredericton's not too bad.
Yeah.
I've actually never been to Moncton, but there's a reason I've never been to Moncton.
If you're in Moncton, shout out. Much love. Don't look at any of this as disrespect. And have an Alpine on the old Saf, man, because
Are you going to pay for it?
The Alpine?
Yeah.
If you
People send their PayPals to Cody. And you'll pay
with an Alpine.
With
I
a
want a
picture of
video
an
of you drinking the Alpine. And you can't be from there because people from there love Alpine.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Finally, before we get out of here, MMA trades.
Yeah, I like
It's
it.
a thing. DJ for Ben Askren, it kind of makes sense. As long as all parties are happy with the situation, I don't really care. Like, DJ wants out of the UFC, doesn't think that he's been promoted properly. There's a lot of truth to that. But he doesn't really sell the fight the way that WME IMG wants fights to be sold. Conor McGregor's big draw. Colby Covington's a guy that they're kind of pushing their chips behind. There's a certain template here, and they want you to talk a lot of shit. Ben Askren's on Twitter right now talking all of the shit. I'm sure the people, the powers that be at WME, IMG, Dana White, all those guys are going, yes, Ben, this is exactly what they need. And I actually kind of like it for this welterweight division. There is not nearly enough shit talk in that division. There's not enough intriguing spots, intriguing fighters. He is the proper kind of villain. I think Kaposa on Twitter said, like, this is like the perfect villain that this division needs to kind of spice it up. Because it's gotten a little bit stale.
No, the problem is that he's got the same style as a couple of the guys in the division. So he talks.
He
talks a sick game, but like, yeah, Colby talks a sick game. And what are they gonna do? I think it's pretty funny. But what are they gonna do? Get out there and wrestle buck each other? Like the thing with George never said nothing. And people love George. And he smoked Jay Huron. And he put it on Matt Hughes. And he went out there and had some big performances. But eventually he fell into like, I don't have to take any risk. I'm going to take guys down and grind them. And people didn't like George. There's a reason it's taken Ben Askren this long to get signed to the UFC. He had a reputation of being the worst, boringest, I should say. Definitely not worst. But the most boring fighter that you could potentially look at. But then he goes to ONE FC and he starts taking on guys half his size that are from Myanmar who don't know how to wrestle, and he's smoking them, and all of a sudden he's some hot commodity. So yeah,
No, I'm not.
I would love to see Askren, and I'd love that.
He's a good villain. He's the perfect type of villain, just like in terms of marketing fights. I'm not saying that he's going to come in here and just run over the whole division.
He is not going to sell one single pay-per-view more.
He's fun on Twitter.
That doesn't mean shit. He's not going to sell nothing. I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee he won't sell. But what to your original point about the trades, I love trades. This is a fantastic idea. There's nobody that loses in this deal. ONE FC, they're dropping Ben Askren anyways because he was going to retire. He's not fighting for them anymore. Yeah. So you're getting DJ in return. A pound for pound greatest of all time, potentially in some people's mind. A guy that's got a reputation, who's a former UFC champion. His coach, Matt Hume, is one of our executives here. Yeah. He's basically just wants money. DJ's not looking to fight TJ Dillashaw. There's a reason why he turned down those fights. There's a reason why he wanted to fight Sergio Pettis. He's just looking to get paid. So go and fight ONE FC. Fight the same bums that Ben Askren fought for anybody cares. You'll still probably beat them. You could move up a weight class and fight two guys. Bibiano Fernandez, who's a training partner of Demetrius Johnson. He's signed there and he's been there for 5 years, getting paid bank. That's exactly what they'll do. The UFC, they don't really like Demetrius Johnson. They can't promote him. They've tried. It's always a bicker. It's always a headache. You're dropping him and his contract, and you're getting Ben Askren. You're winning. ONE FC is getting rid of a guy that's going to retire anyways. They're getting Demetrius Johnson. He wins. Demetrius Johnson wants the money fights. He's gone. Ben Askren wants to fight the legacy fights. Everybody wins. But why not get to a point in the world where it's like we can do more of that? Imagine the UFC said, all right, Bellator, let's sit down here. We're going to give you couple of our older guys. We're going to give you Diego Sanchez, and we're going to give you Gilbert Melendez, and we're going to give you a Joe Lozon or a Jim Miller. But those are 3 guys with big names, and you love guys like this and put them on your cards. We'll trade you 3 guys like that, and we want Aaron Pico.
Yeah.
Or we want Michael Chandler. We'll trade you some guys, and you trade us some guys. Because as Bellator
You know who I would
fans,
trade? This is going to trigger some people. The Diaz brothers. They don't fight.
It's a
They
great
don't
idea.
fight. The
It's
value's
a great-
super high on them,
it's a
but they
great
don't
idea.
actually ever go out there and fight. So, like,
Yeah. No, you're...
unless, and especially with, like, Nate, like, if you trade him to Bellator, I know that he's kind of going around pretending that he doesn't, that he's looking for the money fight and all of that. It's just like, if you're not on, once he got that Conor money, once he got that pay-per-view money from Conor, it's just like, you think he's going to go to Bellator, get a base floor of $1 million to fight? There's no pay-per-view value to a bunch of it.
That's the move. If you're
You
Bellator,
trade away the Diaz brothers.
I would say, listen, we'll trade you Nick and Nate Diaz, and in return, we
get
want
Pico.
We want Pico and Chandler, or if they're not willing to get rid of their poster boy, he's the captain of the team. We want Ed Ruth and we want Aaron Pico. You send them back, send you Diaz brothers.
Boom.
Right. Coker and Bellator rubbing their hands. Oh. Nate Diaz. All right. We want to
5 years from now,
Yeah.
those other guys
We
become
want a
massive draws.
Yeah, but here's the problem. If you sign him and then let's give him a mid guy in the division to start him off. Let's do a rematch with Benson Henderson. No, Benson smashes him again, and there goes all your value. But the problem is you'd be like, shit, we got Diaz's contract now. We're free to negotiate with him. Nate, you want to fight? Hell yeah, I want to fight. How much? Okay, so this guy,
$20 million.
$5 million. You'd be like, we don't have $5 million to pay you. So what would happen? Right back to the UFC, the only organization that can actually afford to pay you that kind of money. So, but truthfully, I think a lot of these guys would want to be out of their contract. If I'm RJ and BHULLAR, I'm fucking terrible. So do you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to get on that PFL show, dog, because my very limited skill set could very potentially get me to the
In
finals.
2-round fights.
I know I'm not going to lose both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So worst
as
case
long as
scenario-
I get my takedown in round 1, I secure that round. Worst case scenario, it's a draw.
He's never been knocked out, right? He's been submitted the one time, but again, a lot of heavyweights don't move like that. Yeah, his style of just go and take a guy down, like, it works at the PFL level. That style in the UFC against Chike Congo probably yields the same thing that happened to Timothy Johnson. Well, I'm just going to get a hold of him. Pow! Right in the fucking face. You are down. There's levels to that. So you got to stay where you're comfortable. Nate Diaz could be in super exciting fights, but you'd be crazy to think that he can compete with the top 5 guys of the division, I think. I mean, we haven't seen him in 2 years. And
He looked really. He
getting
did post a
smacked up.
picture like ahead of what was supposed to be the Poirier fight. He was looking like he was in amazing shape.
When he's motivated, dude. When he fought Rafael dos Anjos, he missed weight and he legitimately looked fat. And then you remember when he fought Michael Johnson, he was a little pissed off, and there was like pictures of him. It was like, oh shit, this guy's
The
shredded.
problem is he's just never motivated.
Never motivated. It's hard to be motivated just by the money. If
Yeah.
you're just getting up just for the money, like, you got to want the fight. And the problem with both Diaz's brothers, they're more of like legacy fight kind of guys. I don't want to fight a guy that's not on my level. I want to fight a guy that gets me out of, like Nick always says, I don't want to fight a guy that's got less time into this sport than I do. Motherfucker, you've been around forever. How many guys still fight that have your level of experience in the UFC? But as a result, you just don't fight any of the time, right? You're not going to go and fight Caro Parisian and Joe Riggs and Diego Sanchez. Because unfortunately, for the most part, all these guys, done. They're just not around anymore. But that's what you look for. I want to fight a guy that's my level, who's an aging fighter, who I can make $5 million to fight. That ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen.
Nope.
So you are very right. I would trade the Diaz brothers. I think that's that'd be a good one. And there's other guys on the list too.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Ultimately, hate to say it, but ultimately, you would move a Stipe Miocic. The guy's fucking unhappy here, and he's not our champ anymore, and he can't sell a pay-per-view anyways.
He could go over to Bellator
And
be
win their
their
heavyweight
champion.
Grand Prix. He can beat
kill.
Ryan Bader. He can beat Fedor. He can
Of
beat Matt
course.
Mitrione. So he's happy. He's got a Grand Prix title. He's getting paid. And as a result, we can get some young prospects that we can market and put some money behind and grow. So the trade
I don't know if
aspect's
UFC and
great.
Bellator will be making all that many trades though, because
No.
they are actually
No.
natural
Yeah.
competitors. UFC doesn't mind one championship. You know, they have different TV deals over there. They're dealing with a different market mostly. I know, Fight Network, where you work, does carry all of their fights over here, across the pond or whatever you want to call it. But they're dealing with a different type of market, a different type of situation. Bellator and UFC like trading with each other would be kind of interesting. But who knows? Like, this could just be a one-off thing that never really happens again. But it's an interesting thing. I thought it would be a fun little conversation to add into the end of the show here.
Fair, but money talks, right? At the end of the day, if you could sell something, then they'll go for it. We were joking around like Khabib versus Mayweather, it's never going to happen. And by the way, it's never going to happen.
It shouldn't.
But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, this is so stupid. Whoever thought of this? This is stupid. How much money could we make off this? No, this is stupid. Are you sure about the numbers? Just run it back one more time. But we're not going to do it, but just run it back. It's like, what is going on here? But eventually, you got to sell some pay-per-views. The pay-per-view market's drying up. The UFC's cutting it from 13 to 12. Not sure what the hell that's going to do. But all the same, they need to be running like 4, maybe 6 pay-per-views a year. Eventually, you need tournaments. Eventually, you need, okay, we're going to have a 4-man welterweight tournament. Ben Askren's going to take on George round 1. Tyron Woodley's going to take on Colby Covington round 1. The 2 winners fight each other, undisputed. Stuff like that gets people interested. Let's just think for a minute if Bellator actually had a flyweight division and Demetrius Johnson was still the champ. The UFC's looking to unload this guy. He can't sell anyways. You could trade your champion and say, send us back Chandler, and we're going to do a super fight of Khabib versus Michael Chandler. That crossover of Bellator's champ, I would love to see Gegard Mousasi get in there and mix it up with the best middleweights in the UFC again, because I thought he was really one of the best. Rory at 170, yeah, he's not going to beat Mousasi at 185, but as far as 170 goes, he decisively smoked Wood. Not smoked, it was not a great fight, but he beat Tyron Woodley. Why can't he do that again? Michael Chandler, I don't think he beats Khabib in a long shot. I don't think he beats the top 3 guys in the UFC. But, hey, Eddie Alvarez is Bellator champion. He ended up winning UFC gold. Why not see that? Eventually, the storylines become, I want to see other things, right? I want to see the best guys in the world compete. And the UFC used to be the best guys in the world, but now they're not the best guys in the world. Now it's 85% of the best guys in the world. Okay. So, eventually, you're going to have to sell a pay-per-view. Eventually, you're going to have to sell a fight. And maybe that's going into different leagues and taking different guys and seeing who the best is, right? So, I don't know. I like the MMA trade idea.
I think everyone does. Well, there's some people who don't, but that's just the internet. Twitter. People just get upset about it. People get outraged by things.
Yeah, it'd be great if it's like, yeah, we just made a blockbuster deal. We traded, Michael Chandler for a couple guys and some future consideration draft picks. And those future consideration draft picks, it's like, whoa, he just looks so good on Dana White's Contender Series. We got a contract. Bellator's like, whoa, we like that guy. Tay Edwards, he looks pretty good. Future considerations, like, fuck. Okay, here you go. Pass him off.
All right, that more or less wraps it up for us this week. I want to thank Cody Saftic for breaking down the fights with me. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ Saftic. I want to thank Chad, our main man Chad, doing all the sweet cuts behind the cameras there. For both of those guys, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!